Welcome to the Cow Corporation's series of videos about software engineering. The topic of this video is desktop applications. Before proceeding, make sure that you have already watched these other videos first. We will be discussing these topics. To watch these videos, look for the links that are listed in this video's description. For naming identifiers, we follow some conventions that have relevance regardless of the language used. Modifiers are written after the thing being modified. For example, the most impactful part of a blue button is the fact that it's a button, not that it happens to be colored blue. This is more important than the English language grammar. Following this convention produces a nice effect when you have a group of many identifiers which are written in alphabetical order. In that situation, all of the buttons will become grouped together. A physical quantity is an important example of this convention. The quantity's unit is usually written as part of the identifier. Like all modifiers, the unit is written afterwards. Most abbreviations are not used. One abbreviation that we do use is SEC for seconds to distinguish the time duration from the ordinal position that occurs between first and third. Another abbreviation that we do use is PX for pixels because that occurs so frequently in graphics programming. Lastly, the Microsoft GUI programming unit of dialog units is awkward to type, and therefore we do use the abbreviation DU for that quantity. The singular form is used for most nouns, even when describing collections or other things that exist in multiples. When reasoning about the size of things, we often have composition. For example, a string is composed of many characters. When writing an identifier, before the word size, we write the thing that is being measured. In this case, it's a string. After the word size, we write those pieces that are being counted. In this case, the characters. Dynamically resizing data structures are often implemented using an allocation that is somewhat larger than the size actually being consumed. In that case, there also may be an identifier using the term capacity in place of size. If only a subset of the characters have some characteristic of interest, then an identifier using count instead of size can refer to that subset. The iStringSizeChar identifier describes the string. If something else is being measured in terms of string units, then that identifier is written as iThesisSizeString. A collection, such as a vector or a list, has an element called begin that is inclusive, meaning that element actually does contain data, the first piece of data in the collection. The collection also has an element called end that is exclusive, meaning that element actually doesn't contain data, but instead represents the position, one position after the final data containing element. The API that controls the duration of some activity exposes functions that are called start and stop. Rectangles have a left and a top value, which are both inclusive, and they have a right and bottom value, which are both exclusive. When specifying them, we prefer to use the order left, then top, then right, then bottom. We prefer to specify individual components rather than the corners of the rectangles, but if you need to give a name to the corners, then we use top left and bottom right. Top left being inclusive, bottom right being exclusive. We use these terms to describe the naming of files. Among these terms, the one with the most complete information is called path and file, written as if it were one word. For names that also describe objects, we rely on prefixing to distinguish them. For example, PC file may be a file name that describes a file object called OFile.